Welcome back. Welcome back to American Zarathustra Monday live studio art stream. Couple announcements before we get going here. Just wanted to share with you that, here we go with the focus issues. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of painting today. Let's see if I can just let that resolve itself. This here on the I guess your right would be a new cover to the what's it called? The comic book company that I'm working for. It's called um, New Delphi Media, and you can kind of get a look at it. You know, the main character there in the center, the classic comic book layout. You know, with all the villains, and you might recognize a guy right down there in the corner, uh, also known as Clown World. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of the meme culture in this comic book. If you look closely to these girls on the side here, they have 6 arms. Those are web girls. So web girls, right? You know, e-thoughts, web girls, right? Um, there's a lot going on. You can see Gruggan or Grug up here in the corner. There's a lot going on in this book, and I guess I can only really tease out the things that are to come. We're working on an amazing animation with our crew. It's going to be phenomenal, and yeah, so there's a lot to come by the end of the summer. We hope to have this published, but this is just a kind of a look at the black and white art for that. You know, it always starts off like so. Also, excuse me, this is the back cover, pardon me, to the White People's Quarterly that is now on sale at White People's Press, whitepeoplepress.com. And yeah, so the front cover was auctioned off with the White Art Collective. Um, we had the White Art Collective Music Festival, and that was one of the sort of the big prizes of the show. So we auctioned that art off with a guitar that we all signed at the music festival, etc. So this here, I'm going to be auctioning this off on my Twitter because eBay has banned me for life for being part of the white positive movement. So you know how these big corporations don't tell you exactly why they're banning you. They just say, we feel that you're a threat to our community. And it's quite obvious that it's an anti-white uh, strategy for suppression, for censorship. So this piece here I call the New Apollo, and it's in a sense a vision for the new Imperium man per se. You have all these symbols in here. This is a mixed media piece, so it's watercolor, colored pencil, and graphite pencil. So the bidding starts at 300 for this piece. It's like I said, bidding on my Twitter. So if you look up at Amerizera on Twitter, I suppose I could leave the. If you know my channel, you know me and you know where I am. So there's that. But anyway, yeah, bidding starts at 300 for this piece. It's going until next Saturday. So if you'd like to own this original, I actually signed it on the back because I don't like signing artworks on the front. If there's space to, I will, but I don't want to destroy the integrity of the piece, which I think you can understand. So there's that. And welcome to the 4 people who are here. So today's work is going to be on this book cover. So it's a romance novel. How you like them apples? So anyway, with that, I've just laid out the first layer. I have to work on the different tones. Um, I've never done a book cover for a romance novel. I think it's kind of a neat process. The reason why I'm doing this is because the author is in our sphere. So I try to serve people in our sphere, right? People who are in the white positive movement, and that's that. So anyway, I'm gonna pretty much just get cooking here. Get my materials set up. Let's see what we want to use. Let's see now. So with the first layer, it's just a kind of a skin tone, and these guys are more kind of Mediterranean, maybe a little more swarthy, and she has a kind of a lighter pink skin. So again, it's just the first layer. You build layers when you do this. So how one of the tricks to painting is using opposite colors. So if the skin is orange, you would use a like a blue. There's a lot of green in the background, so I'm kind of debating if I should use something like a what do you call it? A like an aqua, sort of a greenish blue. So I think I'm gonna give that a shot and feel that out. But you have to be sort of careful about the application. Watercolor is like brain surgery. It's very, very, very delicate. Unlike oil, you can't really go over it and cover it up. So you can't undo what you've done, and therefore it's much harder. You can find ways to fudge it, or cheat, or I don't know, do something that can alter mistakes, if you will. But you don't want to make mistakes. So start off with that attitude. There's a lot of sort of, drying the surface and kind of going in and out, blah, blah, blah. So I am just going to chill. If anyone has any questions, hey, Nellis, nice to see you there, brother. Yeah, sorry I couldn't do any of these live streams because I just had a lot going on. Was out of town on business. My mom was in the hospital for a little while. There was some things going on, and things are back to normal. Thank God. Praise the Lord. So there's that. Anyway, so I'm gonna focus a bit on the painting. Artabach, Artabuk, I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm happy you are here. AZ looks great. Hello, no, that's good, good, good. Yeah, good to have the family here. All right. So another thing here is I'm feeling like the light is coming from this angle. So that being the case, I'm going to want to layer in some blue shadow starting in this side of the figure. This is sort of a deep shadow in here. I might even need to use a little black with that. But once the orange and the blue kind of work together, they sort of neutralize each other, and that creates sort of the illusion of shadow. Um, yeah. But it's always the notion of like, how far do you go? You add a little and then you pull it back, and then you add a little and you pull it back. And so I'm just going to kind of go delicately here. This is what I mean by pull it back. You take a little off with the paper towel. Now, this guy, I don't want him to look evil. He's supposed to kind of look masculine. There's clearly a lover's triangle theme in this book, right? Oh, thank you, Nullis. Yeah, my mom is doing much better. You know, it's just one of those things in life, right? You just have to do what you got to do, take care of your folks. Um, things happen. I think it's interesting as you grow older and you look at the troubles that your parents have physically, and you kind of get a sense of like that's probably going to be me at that age, and it compels you to try to take care of yourself a bit better. I think I don't know how who can stop aging per se, maybe some Tibetan monks or something, but you just have to kind of be prepared, I guess. Should probably be using a different brush. This one's too large. I did want to just get these swathing areas here. There we go. Yeah. This lower half of the picture is going to be covered with the title. The title of the book I'm seeing more at the bottom. I looked at some classic paintings of you know uh, romance novels, and I saw that composition with the title more towards the bottom. I thought, that's different. It has a different weight to it. If you that type of terminology is very kind of fine art thinking. Like where's the emphasis? Where's the weight of the painting? Like what draws your eye? That's generally what I'm saying. So I think I'm going to go a bit darker with this guy here. He seems like he's maybe emerging out of the dark a bit, and it makes him a little more mysterious. So once again, like romance novel covers are not my forte, or something I ever thought I would do. But there's a great author in our sphere who I suppose I could tell you who it is, but I generally don't like to do that unless I get permission. And so mm, I'll just say this: he was on Imperium Art, and the book that we covered on Imperium Art was a political doctrine, and it's something that I am really fascinated with. So if you've been following my YouTube show, you would maybe be able to figure that out. Okay. So I think one of the nice things about this Monday art stream is that people get to chat with each other in the chat area there. It's nice. People who maybe don't get a chance to connect, in one way or another, they get to kind of say, "Hey," and "What's up? What's going on?" Chat about topical things, what's happening in the world, or what's happening on the show, all that good stuff. Actually, if you guys don't mind sharing this link on your social media, that would be cool. Be a lot cooler if you did. Okay. This area here is pretty complex. I've got this guy kind of holding his hands around her, like so, and in this area here. And I just wanted to create like a great deal of romantic tension in this piece. He sort of his body language is as if he possesses her in some way. That his being shirtless is kind of more sexual, whereas this other guy is, offering her a future, and his dedication. So I think that you can kind of see a theme here about, you know, say, tradition versus degeneracy or something. But yeah, these green, sort of bluish green shadows are making, giving him a greater psychological depth, which I think is exciting and interesting. There's just so much subtlety involved in these things. And so as you put in darker layers, there's two things happening. You're concentrating on light as well as color, and they operate simultaneously in a way. And then, of course, little highlights with line work that you can do, that might show uh, a certain passage in the anatomy. Uh, okay. And then there's texture. So there's like 1,000 things going on here. It's quite difficult, frankly. It takes time and patience. You really have to concentrate. I'm adding a little more red to this guy here to give him, like, the green is just too cool. It's too cold, I guess, because you have hot and cold colors. That is also part of what's fascinating about painting and the visual arts is the levels of subtlety and yeah, there's so many levels of subtlety that you can add with the opposites, the color opposites. And the thing that I like about watercolor is how it blends. The water has a sort of a natural capacity for blending, which is very, very beautiful. Welcome, Carla Tapuig. I'm sure I destroyed your name, and I'm so sorry. Do you know human anatomy by heart, or are you looking at a picture? I based this on photos, but as a comic book artist, I spent many years studying anatomy. Granted, comic book anatomy is exaggerated. It's meant to be somewhere between realism and cartoon reality. So I can draw the human figure from any angle because you have to learn the muscle groups. Look at the chest and the arms and the knees, the legs, all these various things. And then once you learn that, you also have to understand how clothing drapes over it. You have to understand how hair moves, all these sort of things. So real quick, I am auctioning off this piece of art on my Twitter. eBay has banned me for life because of my involvement in the white positive movement. So I'm doing this on my Twitter. This is the back cover of the White People's Quarterly that is on sale this quarter. So please go to my Twitter and place a number there, if you will. You can just message it to me. Tell you what, I'll pop my Twitter address in the chat. Make it easier for people if you give me just a moment. How's the audio, by the way? There's always audio things going on. I could probably move my computer closer to me. You should be able to hear me better. All right. So, like I said, if you message me on my Twitter with a price, if you're interested in uh, this auction for this piece here, then I'm just doing a private Twitter message, and then every time somebody say ups the auction price, then I'll post that. And I'm thinking I'm going to keep this auction open until next Saturday. So between now and Saturday, the starting price is 300, and then we'll take it from there. So I'll just set this aside, and I'm going to get back to the piece I'm doing now, and away we go. So who all is here? We've got no, there's okay. Audio is great. Good, 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 good. Okay. Okay, I need some different brushes here. These are brushes that I brought back from Asia. They're just typical horsehair bamboo brushes that you use for Asian art, but they're very versatile, and I really enjoy using them with my other stuff. But I need some finer brushes, so I'm pulling out of here. Pop that over there. Okay. Thinking I'm gonna go darker on the greens as well. Just get paint on my hands. So we're gonna. Painting is a messy business. This I will tell you for sure. Um, it seems like almost every article of clothing that I have has some paint on it. So I should wear that proudly, though, I think, right? You know, okay. So we're going to put some darker greens in the background to play with the color drama. Let's see what we can do. I'm going to start off kind of down below here. So I'm loading the brush with a lot of water to allow it to kind of bleed and have allow the kind of watercolor texture to work. And it's not like sort of a computer. How do I put this? Like a computer graphics are very flat, and they tend to not have as much of this sort of texture. Granted, you can easily get brushes for Photoshop and that kind of thing, which have texture. Um, but I like working with organic materials. So sue me. I'm kidding. What do you guys want to talk about? Do you have any questions? It's kind of one of the bonus features of this show is that I'll answer questions if you guys have any. What's my favorite color? Okay. So as you see the way I'm kind of patting the brush down, it allows for, like I said, sort of a more organic texture. You figure that they're sort of standing in front of, say, you know, I don't know, some foliage, I guess, and this allows for that illusion. It's very impressionistic, clearly, you know, intentionally. Um, there is, you know, I don't know how to say this. You do want it's a book cover. You want the you want it to be eye catching, is what I guess I'm saying. These little negative spaces in between characters are actually extremely critical. They're kind of puzzle pieces, you know, that they kind of they operate to punctuate the objects around them. It's funny because you know, as you look at this, your mind is reading. Okay, there's a lovers triangle theme going on here. You know, hey fam, good to see you, CG. Very good to see you. CG was on Imperium Art. He uh, we discussed fourth generation warfare. Excellent, excellent show. Um, I really should get more into those kind of topics. I like to, of course, you know, we've got the Imperium Art Show, but you know, I've other interests outside of art, and there's obviously a lot of really critical things happening in politics that we have to be aware of. So it's great getting people on the show who have different areas of expertise. So please look up the fourth generation warfare video on my channel. Very important stuff. And he's extremely articulate about it. That's what's good because it's, you know, it's one thing to know a lot about something, but if you can't really communicate it, then it's difficult. Not everybody has that ability, you know. So, speaking of Imperium art, this Thursday, 6 o'clock, we have White Rabbit Radio. White Rabbit Radio is going to be on Imperium art. This is a big event, I believe. You have, I mean, White Rabbit Radio has been around a while. It's a really, I'd say, a really powerful and influential show. That our guest is like, you know, doesn't hold any punches. He's very, very real. Again, another extremely intelligent, articulate gentleman. So this is kind of part of our goal here is to overlap the arts with our political sphere and the political sort of influencers, the vloggers, you know, people who are producing content for us all, you know, and giving really good hot takes and all that good stuff, you know. So now I'm at a juncture here where I'm seeing that it's dark on this side and then lighter on this side, and I find this quite fascinating because it highlights the sort of the good guy, the traditional guy on the this side. Um, so I'm sort of feeling like, do I want to leave it like that? You see what I mean? You can feel that, right? That nice bright green here. This is kind of the dark side. That clearly has some kind of psychological uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Like it implies something about the dark and the light. That's pretty simple. Anyway, so in comics, caricatures, cartooning, all that, you rely on the line work tremendously, whereas in painting, you paintings are not drawings per se, right? Every object has its own 3D space, if you will. And so you paint over the lines, you blend the the objects, whatever they are, could be a person, a thing, whatever, and you find a way to blend them together that takes the line work out. And that is a, really a giant, giant, giant part of what painting actually is knowing how to deal with edges. So if you look at it, something has a hard edge or a soft edge, you have to be able to, I almost said delineate, but I don't want to use line words, make these 3D objects appear separate from one another. So much of what I'm doing right now is painting the spaces around things. It's not something that we think of when we think of painting. We're always looking at the theme, the subject, we're kind of getting a mood. In a sense, it's like a magic trick. You have to try to figure somebody who is, say, doing a card trick. They know the technique of the card trick, right? And they have to, through sleight of hand, trick your eye so that you don't see it, right? And in a way, that's painting. There's something like there's a real nice hard edge right there against her hair and her ear that I like, but the texture behind it is, like I say, that's kind of like maybe some bushes or something. And it's tough to maintain that texture while at the same time creating kind of a hard line on, against some object. So that's where I'll take, something like this and dabble away at, you know, what I've laid down. I can only do that for so long because the paint will dry. I can, how do I say? I can use some techniques to change that. It's too complex to explain, but there you go. Gonna need a little more green in here. It's just too black. Black's okay, but her hair is going to be black, and so I can't get it too dark, and then it'll just fade together. Won't really look good. I feel like I could use a little emphasis on this fella here. So, questions. Hey, fam, long time ago, did you draw the outlines before the watercolors, natural lighting? Correct. Yeah, you can still see the pencil work in her face, in her hair, in her shirt. Um, I, how do I say, in a in oil painting, you can draw in oil right on the canvas, and then paint into it. But I guess I won't say that I'm like that comfortable doing that with watercolor. I'd rather use uh, a light pencil and then take it from there. So, Artbach, are you an artist as well? What medium do you do? All right, so I got a little mistake here. A little bit of green got on this guy's neck. It's very small, but it's not right, so we got to get that. So what I'm doing is using water and a brush to scrub the area, kind of scrub it like so. And that does disturb the painting. You have to repaint it, you know. But if this is what I mean, if you do get a mistake, you have these limited options as to how you can fix them. Um, it's just a constant process of sort of how do I say, like figuring it out as you go. So anyway, um, here we are. What do we got here? King Leonidas, welcome. It's so nice to have you with us. What is this painting? It is I was commissioned by a writer in our political sphere in the I guess I could say white nationalist world, in his world and ours. And anyway, I serve people in our community. That's what my art is for, right? And so anyway, he wrote a romance novel, and this is the cover of the romance novel. So the title of the novel will be towards the bottom, um, and that's pretty much it right there. Artistic, but not a true artist. I dabble in the arts to express my imagination. Well, this is an age-old question. What is a true artist? You know, there's it's tough because people like easy black and white answers, and I can give you answers. You know, that's not hard for me to do. But I think of what defines an artist is integrity, is truth, how true they're being to themselves, not the level of skill that they have, and if they've sold their paintings for $1 million. You see, so somebody, you know, try to imagine the millions of painters or artists, sculptors, dancers, what have you, that are not famous and that are just very sincere, you know. Um, that nobody, you know, they don't get any credit, they're not known, they make their art in a way that is part of their personality, their mental health, their spiritual path, all those things. And yeah, so integrity. Yeah. What do we got here? Interpretations. Sorry, guys, somewhat. Okay. New camera. Well, the camera's behaving. I'll put it. That was a good point. The camera is behaving at this point, so I'm not going to jinx it. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. Um, we just had a really great show on the after party with White Art Collective, talking about our memories of the White Art Collective Music Festival that we did this spring. And so that was an epic accomplishment for our movement, and a really, really phenomenal experience for all the performers. So yeah, I did of course post that, you know, on my Twitter. Um, but it's exciting. I think that we need to keep the momentum going for what we're doing in the White Art Collective, and how it is connecting with the other people around us. You know, like I say, White Rabbit Radio is coming on Imperium Art this Thursday, and you know, he has a great reach. He's got a great audience, does great content, and but it's all political essentially. It's not sort of cultural, to my knowledge. Maybe he has covered cultural topics, but we need a stronger crossover with the arts and these political influencers. Um, I don't know, about a month. Yeah, last month, Mark Collette had a panel of artists from America and the UK, I was fortunate to be on that panel with Jeff Winston, head of the White Art Collective, and it was interesting, of course, because it had half American and half uh, English or people from the UK, and we of course did our music festival here in the States, and it's basically inspired Mark Collette to set up a music festival in UK. So that'll be super super exciting. There's so much talent over there, Jody Kay, et cetera, et cetera. There's this is wonderful, wonderful family over there. So I'll be excited to find out how that goes. It's a good thing. So I'm using some deeper blues here to try to get these heavier shadows in some areas, but it's very, very delicate. Okay, all right. What's your take on Japanese anime art? Very, very good question because I've always found it kind of bizarre, but also funny and interesting how there is this I don't know what to call it, like a part of the white positive culture that is crazy about anime. um, I don't think it's harmful, I mean, there are some creepy people kind of lurking in there, but overall, I think it's generally just fun, or at least the intent seems to be that it should be fun. What I'm discovering is that there's a certain generation of people that pretty much grew up with anime, and it's just what they grew up with. It's what's normal to them, and every generation has something, right, that they grew up with. If it's cartoons or computers, games, movies, music, and each generation identifies with that. So I just think that's pretty much what we're looking at there with the whole anime craze inside the white positive movement, if you will. I personally am not a fan. I will say that I admire the craftsmanship. I think most people in my channel, like my followers, know that I lived in Japan for a year. I worked for a Japanese corporation for 2 years in New York City. Um, Studied the culture very in depth. I could pull out some Japanese style paintings that I do, and I was deeply invested in that. But I never got bit by the anime bug. I think, if I want to be really honest about it, I don't care for the style. I think that everybody kind of looks like aliens with huge eyes and tiny mouths and almost no nose and a weird shaped head. It's like I'm not into cutesy stuff. And I think it's like gushingly cute, which I find very saccharine. It rubs me the wrong way, I guess. Um, we in the States have a very profound and beautiful and deep tradition in comic book art, and because you have to realize that anime is an extension of manga, which is just the Japanese word for comic book. So the subculture around these are usually pretty degenerate. Yeah, that's kind of where I was going. Like that's why I'm confused by it because I feel like there's a lot of very cool people that you know I sort of know on Twitter that are definitely very based and red pilled, in our sphere, but they all have like anime emojis with like cute girls and just silly stuff like that, and I can't wrap my head around it. I'm like, you're super based, like like HH based, and but yet you have this silly, cute Japanese. It doesn't match. It doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. But I don't really fixate on it or judge it. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it. However, I do feel like it's one of the weird unanswered questions, out there. What's your take on it? Yeah, I know. Like, like the girliness, the cute little girl crap. It's weird. I don't know. I don't jive with it. But at the same time, I don't really see it as degenerate, mainly because, like I said, I lived in Japan and I know how the Japanese think about it, and they don't think about it as some kind of pedo thing. It's not part of their culture. I love the artistic imagination of the early Tekken video games. This Japanese creator very imaginative. Yes, literal every anime girl is like 10 to 14. I know. Well, I guess the better thing to do would be to ask those people, like, why? It's just maybe they think it's funny in a goofy way, or maybe you know, maybe they need to see a psychiatrist. I can't answer that. I'm liking how this is shaping up, though. I'm pretty pleased with this sort of darkness on this end, and then this guy's a challenge, though. See, I was given photographs of people that I should base these characters off, but each one of the photographs is like a passport type, or I shouldn't say that. They're facing the camera. And it would look stupid if the three characters were facing the camera. It makes sense for the woman because this book is marketed towards women. Um, anyway, so I had to kind of reimagine what they might look like from these angles. So that's challenging. That makes it so that I have to imagine the anatomy, and it's not just anatomy. It's the way the light falls on the anatomy, that kind of thing. Um, so I have to do a little something here now. This is something people don't think about a lot, but when you paint or draw or ink comics or all this stuff, your hand moves it naturally like this. So you kind of sometimes need to move the canvas or the artwork so that it's easy for you to move in a natural pattern like so. So this guy, I have to be mindful of the edges here on his face. Um, it's a little weird having like just a white area around his face, so I have to blend that in. I think I might add more yellow to this side of the picture. The When you mix yellow and green, it has I don't know, I feel like a very nice natural color. I think when sunshine comes through leaves, it tends to have a glowy quality to it that's very pretty. So I want to try to add a bit of that here. Hmm. So regarding Japanese art, I went there to study traditional art, which is called sumi-e, which just means ink painting. And that's a lot of it is landscape painting. There's a whole tradition of Zen Buddhist art that I was deeply enamored with, and I did Zen paintings. I actually studied Zen in Buddhist temple in Kyoto, where I learned how to meditate properly. Uh, and then, of course, I took a course at the university I was going to on Zen Buddhism. So I was doing both the academic study, as well as the physical, I guess you could call it the yoga of meditation. And I was young. I was 19 and 20 when I lived in Japan. Um, and I'll be straight with you. I think at that age, you you only have so much intellectual capacity. You don't have a lot of life experience. You're kind of still figuring stuff out, and that's totally cool. That's totally normal and not bad in any way. So I'm not sort of belittling anybody and going through that. To be honest, people postpone figuring things out all their lives until their deathbed, and so that's a whole other topic. But so tightening up that region around this guy's face helps to make it look a little more natural as a painting. But I might have to go in with some white highlights. I'm really feeling like that might be the case soon. Um, Micromanaging all these textured areas is a little difficult, but it's important. If I so let's say if I were to mush this up more and make it less textural, that will draw more attention to his face, which you want. You want to get a sense of the romantic tension of these characters. It's funny how so much of art is theater, actually. Isn't that interesting? Like this is sort of a theater involved in what I'm doing here. Because these are actors on a stage in a way, right? The stage is the paper. All right, I think I'm slowly getting to like this better. It's believe me, you don't always like your own work, so and I'm sure other artists know that. So I just reading the comments. I love the artistic. Oh, we already talked about that. Okay. Well, I don't know. What's your take on the anime thing? Does it belong in the white political sphere, or is it too weird? Gotta go. What do you think? I'm digging this smooth jazz. Weirdly, it fits the theme of the painting I'm doing here. You know what? I think I just figured something out. I think I'm going to use white paint to highlight his face. Um, I need to get some highlights on there. Yeah. So how's everybody's summer going? What are you guys doing this summer? Anything exciting? Posting any stickers anywhere? I've been doing a little bit of that. I created a sticker at my what do you call it? At my swag shack on my website, and it says critical race theory is anti-white, and so I've been putting that near schools, like on the stop signs near schools where I live, and it's obviously very targeted. Also, I think they're Wesleyan churches that are. There's some churches that have like female pastors, and they're super pro, like aggressively pro BLM and all things Marxist, LGBT. It's essentially the infiltration of Christianity. King Leonidas says, "I'm an artist, Zarathustra, not a psychiatrist." Someone's at the door. I have to go to the door. Oh boy, you'll excuse me, Well. What do you know? Life happens, my friends. Life happens. So, a good friend of mine dropped by with something. I think it looks like a T-shirt or some kind of. Oh, it's a gift for my son. Anyway, I'm very sorry for the interruption, but when you got all kinds of good friends and good people in your life, you got to treat them good. So here, this is what I mean by highlights. Like this is a very vague white. Like I mixed it a bit with some red, just to, you build it up. You don't go full throttle. In a case like this, I mean, I do like to paint. I don't know if aggressively is the right word, but I like to kind of paint in a bold manner when I do my paintings. But doing something like this, a book commission, is something a little more subtle. So we're gonna kind of feel this out here. I feel like this whole side of the face has to has to it needs more dimension. Have to be kind of delicate with application though. Um, it is very tricky. You can't, how do I say, like you're just playing with light. So if I add a dash of like pure white to his cheek, that helps to highlight it. You see what I'm saying? I think the corner of the forehead here is going to have a very nice highlight on it there. The ear for sure, but it's getting slightly messy though. I think I'll need a smaller brush for that, so I'll move around a bit. Surprisingly, just behind the ear on the neck, it could be a nice bright highlight there. Let's see, I'm going to even paint in the shirt a bit. I'll probably have to put some reflective light on that shirt at some point just to make it work with the painting. I'm saving her for last. I want that she's obviously the star of the show. Um, so we'll feel that out. Music okay with you guys? All right. Couple white highlights in his hair along this area here. I have to kind of blend it a bit, but there's a certain you don't want to make it look greasy, but almost a slightly wet kind of look to it. And the paint has like a very organic quality to it. That got mushy. Not good. I often think of painting in a way as kind of like sculpture, like it's just 2D sculpture. You're you're just kind of adding and subtracting, and you're kind of pushing the materials around in a way that creates shapes, you know? So I think I'm going too far with this. I have to start pulling it back. It's too much. Kind of muss that up a bit, and then I'll fix it later. It's irritating when you know there's a part of the painting that you don't like, and it needs to be fixed. But you have to kind of move around. You sort of change the focus here and there and back and forth. But I really have to touch this up. Also, it's interesting because when you're working a painting a lot, like your working area, you add, you subtract, you add, you subtract over and over and over. It actually can have a very good effect on the piece. Um, it just has a, I don't know how to explain it, but it looks more complex, I suppose, and as a result, you get like a pretty nice effect. So I'm adding light to this side and dark to the other side. You see what I mean? And so that creates space, that creates form. All right, and then I'm going to add a little bit of dark to that side of the head to round it out. Now, I think I'll be daring and add just a bit of black in there as well. The problem is it's bleeding with the green around it because that's wet. And so like these are that's what I mean about brain surgery. Like there's always, if you make a slight mistake, then now you got a problem you got to fix. But the hair is pretty important. I think his eyebrows are way too. They're just, I don't know, they're too chunky. I don't know. There's something wrong with. Granted, that's what the photo looked like, but yeah. All right. Yeah, yeah. So, how long we've been going? We've been going about an hour here. I want to thank you guys so much for coming. One more time, I am auctioning off the back cover of the White People's Quarterly at my Twitter. So if you'd like to purchase this, bidding starts at 300. Just message me a price above 300, and then I'll post that periodically throughout the week. Bidding ends on Saturday. Um, so yeah, 300 is the start for this. The New Apollonian is the name of the piece. And let me just quickly read King Leonidas. But my take on anime, it should be stamped down on. But my take on anime, until a time that we have more control over the art. It just has too much degeneracy at the time over the positive value. I do agree with you. I don't want to start a war with good people in our sphere who like anime. I'm not gonna go there, but I do feel that it seems out of place, and I don't know why people don't know that. It seems very obvious. Also, I'm obviously a very, very strong proponent for Western arts. When I taught art in elementary, middle, and high school, every kid that thought he was an artist, all he did is copy Japanese comics, and they look like crap. Japanese comics are like the white belt of comics. some of them are very complex and beautiful and incredible, but a lot of it is just, like rubber stamp. You just learn the trick and you repeat over and over. It's anybody can do it kind of stuff. But anyway, so that was a good show. I feel happy with the product or progress I made. And thank you so much to you guys for joining me. Please share this link and help me get the word out about my auction. Like I said, eBay has banned me for life. So because I'm in our political sphere, so if we can try to do this on our own in our own channels, that'd be awesome. $300 starting the auction here for the back cover of the White People's Quarterly. And we'll see you guys on the internet. You all have a wonderful day.